I apologize for being late. I have to be at the table and try to be here. We have some handouts. Have you received those yet? No. Okay. Would you mind? You want to just kind of distribute those? Hi. Were you here this morning? And were you? Yeah.
I've been here.
You have just striking eyes. Well, welcome back. I'm still amazed. I mean, usually if you go a place and you do something for preschool, you have 10 people. I'm so encouraged that there are so many people. I just was like, wow, God, you're so good. You're so good. I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of just show kind of how I do a lesson. And you guys are all probably tons more qualified than I am. But my hope is just that I would just be inspiring and encouraging for what you do. And it's a big thank you for what you do. I think the only thing I don't like about a conference is when they have multiple choices, it's like I can't skip out because there was a couple that I would really have liked to gone to. So I guess you have these little cards that you can, whoever thought of that, bless them, so you don't really have to miss out on anything. So my name is Marilyn Seth. I am Mike's wife. That's my claim to fame. And we just love kids. We love the adults that are teaching and reaching and loving on the kids as well. I'll say this real quick. We've been doing this for a long time. Mike was the children's pastor for years. I was preschool director for years. And about 4 years ago, God had us resign from those positions. And we didn't know what God was going to have for us. We resigned the position. We're looking at no income. We're not sure what it is that God did, what He was going to do. So it was kind of one of those. I remember I handled it with such grace, such wonder. One night I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm just crying. Mike goes, "What's on?" I'm going, "We're going to lose our house. We're going to lose everything we worked." What a woman of faith, What a woman of faith. And he goes, "I'll tell the pastor I won't resign." I go, "No, it's okay. Just give me a couple of days. I'm sure I'm going to be fine." And I am amazed. I know that David had his teaching this morning is, "How did I get here?" or something like that. And I ask all the time whenever we come, I go, "God, how did we get here? How do we get to do this? How do we get to love on these people? What was it? Who am I? Really, who am I? I'm not the best speaker. I don't dress fabulously. I don't have a list of degrees. I've got my AA in computer science. That's really good for children, isn't it? Doesn't that help you? Mike has his bachelor's in entomology. Really, So I can say, look at me, guys, look where I'm at. If God could put me here, wow, what could He do with you? He's amazing. All He wants is a willing heart, and I see a lot of willing hearts here. So be encouraged. Don't think that you are not able, because you're more than able. At that time when I was going through that wonderful moment of faith, of having this meltdown and everything, I still knew in my heart that that's what God called us to do, in those wonderful, exciting steps of faith that really go, okay, how are you feeling about this? And okay, God, I'm going to just do that. I'm going to trust you. And it was within a short time, we get a call. Would you like to do a children's conference in Dubai? And the only reason I even knew where Dubai was is because I just watched not too long before some special on the National Geographic channel about how they built that island at Palm Tree Island out there. Otherwise, I would have not even known where Dubai was. And I said, "Did you tell him yes?" Because our rule is we don't ever answer yes or no until we've really, talked and prayed together. I said, you did go ahead and say yes without talking to me first. And so, just out of the goodness of who God is and just His love is, we just stepped out in faith and we went to Dubai. And it's incredible the path that God has taken us on and what we get to do. I am so honored and so humbled because I would have never imagined when we started with those 9 little kids in that little room at this church of 50 people that God would have us here. But I think it was just because He said, you know what, you're going to love on my kids, and I'm going to love on you. And so it's really neat. And that doesn't mean that if you're loving on those kids and you don't wind up in Dubai, but you aren't, don't get me wrong on that. I'm just saying the amazement to me in my life of God's goodness. And yes.
Sorry. Can I just interrupt you?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who doesn't have a handout, can you raise your hand?
You have more?
Thank you. I love people like you that take care of me.
Okay, so we need a vote. And there's still 3 chairs.
Oh, there's still 3 chairs?
Yeah.
Oh, there's 4 actually. We have.
Oh, there's 1 chair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
One-
thank
we
you.
need one more.
Come on up front. Thank you all so much for being here. It just is a delight to God that we have people who are so hungry. I'm going to do a couple of things real quick. I am not very good. I'm much better at promoting other people's stuff than mine. I feel very uncomfortable promoting any.
Is there one more? I know there's one. Yeah, there's one here. I got one right here. And then
Yeah.
there's this one.
So I'm going to promote these. A friend of ours wrote this book. It's called Finding God's Love in Your Thumbprint. And it talks about we all have a unique. It's really good. I have a few more copies out there for sale, but I'm going to give these 2 copies away. So, okay, she raised her hand. All right. Okay, well, I'm going to go way in the back because people in the back always feel neglected. So, lady red. I'm going to. Okay. All right. So, it's really a wonderful book. I tested it on I've tested it on all my grandkids from ages 2 to 9, and they really enjoy it. My 9-year-old grandson's probably at the edge of like, Grandma, this is really, nobody can, but I had him read it to his little brother, so that made it. And then people are always asking about preschool curriculum. And I'm going to give an example of what I do with the lesson here. So what I do with this lesson today is you can pretty much take any preschool curriculum and change it out to really bring in God's presence, which is probably not very good for a selling point for our curriculum and stuff. I do recommend, how many know who Karen Henley is? Karen Henley has some, I love her stuff. She's got some great preschool curriculum. I really like it. I love it. Her name is Karen Henley. Henley. Don't know her, but I just love her curriculum. So I'm going to promote that as a great curriculum. One that we started on was Faith Roots for Little People from Willie George. And they've got some good stuff in there. And in answer to your question, yes, we have elementary school, and yes, we're working on preschool curriculum, but that's probably not going to be till the end of the year. I'll give myself some time on that. We do have these heart buckets. Mike's teaching on the heart bucket lessons right now. If you get up and leave and go to his class, I won't be offended. But a lot of people take these and it's a 1-page lesson, and they'll take it off and use it with the preschoolers, kind of take it where they can use it with the kids as well. So we have these. I have 4 different ones, and we're gonna. Oh, okay. Her hand was up quickly. Lady P. Okay, is there a guy who wants to come? The guys raise their hand. Now, guys. Oh, there's one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're so Yeah, I like it when guys. I was sharing with somebody who's a man who's one of the distributors out there, and I said what's so encouraging to me is we've been doing conferences for a lot of years, and to see the amount of men that are coming to conferences now. I mean, it used to be we'd go and we'd have 1 or 2 on a good conference, and now we're having more and more, and I'm even seeing them here in the preschool. I am so excited because we so need men and fathers with these Precious, precious little ones. And, whoops, that's all I have to give away today. Oh, no, one soaking CD. All right, this is... all right, here it is. Pick me. See, now this is how the kids always react. We want to volunteer, they're like, okay. And I still think the best way to get people to come is to have Starbucks coffee sitting on each seat. But you guys come anyway, I'm really impressed. So we have a handout here. We're going to be going through this. And I'm going to put my little popcorn bag back here. And you know what? Do we have... Oh, this is perfect. I'm used to these kinds of chairs because we all work with little ones, right? So I'm going to be sitting up here in a few minutes. I'm going to use that chair. So some of you, I don't know, if you can't see me in the back here, you probably can't see me already. So I'll sit there in this chair. So part of my lesson is when I'm really teaching with the kids, I'm always down on their level. I'm not the big person looking down on them. Of course, I'm not that big anyway, but tall. We're going to go over a couple, focusing on why we're doing this, how to reach and teach preschoolers. It's so fun. And it starts off with ministering to preschoolers is something very dear to the heart of God. I just challenge you to go under your Strong's Concordance and look up child and children, and how many times that is. And we're referring to the children of God, but there's a lot of times, how many times it's actually referring to children. It's amazing. It's amazing how many times he's referring to children. And he loves kids, and we are his kids. I kind of divide up as, why are we doing this ministry? That's always a good question to ask. Why are we doing this? When we went to Dubai, they were having an adult conference, and they finally decided, if we're doing an adult conference, I guess we might as well have something for the kids. So,
Marilyn? Sorry, again. Those who didn't get a copy, can you raise your hand?
Thank you. So, excuse me a second. Grab it here. So we went there, and we said, well, before we do work with the kids, we always like to meet with those that are going to be teaching the kids. So we get there, and they come, and most of the people were there because, since they were having kids. Excuse me, I'm looking for, if anybody has a Kleenex, I can't find my Kleenex. Oh, look at that. Oh no, okay. Most of the people were there because, how many were here because that they really wanted to be? Most of them were there because, they were doing this, and they had a list, and everybody just signed their names on one time slot. So they were there because they had to be, not so much that they wanted to be. They were out of there, and most of us have always done this. We started the same way. We were there out of a sense of duty. But the good thing is at least you're doing that. At least we got started. We got our feet in the door. We're doing this out of that sense of duty. But we met with all the teachers and the people that are going to be there, and we shared with them what we're going to be doing with God. And they said, oh, even if we're not signed up, can we come back in? We said, sure. And what was amazing is by the end of the conference, one lady had caught the vision. She took the thing, and through that, they're ministering to the children. They caught heart. One of them was one of the elders. They had 5 elders. They do it a little bit differently. They don't have a pastor there in Dubai because people are in and out of the church so much. And you can't be, it's a Muslim country, so it's just different. So they would have a group of 5 elders, so they always knew that they would have someone there to lead the people. And so he was there. And big, tall, stoic South African man. And he's, very like this. And we had the kids come up and pray for him. He melted. He was just he was undone by the sweetness of the kids. And we had, and he's still, this was 4 years ago now, And he wound up heading up part of the department, the elder of the church. So it was really neat. So we encourage you that get those pastors and elders involved. But what it was is, why are we doing this? Are we just doing it because somebody's got to be in there with the kids? And if that's the start, that's the start. But what more can there be? And we're doing it because we're instructed to by God. Train up a child. They don't do that by themselves, do they? So God is having us do this. It was important to him. And important enough that he wrote it down about, I don't know how many times. I'm going to have to look that up sometime when he's talking about how many times he's talking about us to teach our children. And so, but isn't it amazing? He chose us. And Mike has gone over a bit about what that training means, as taking that and dipping in there so it inspires a hunger for the baby to begin sucking so that it can have its mother's milk. And that's what they did. So that training is to prepare them to have a hunger. We're putting a hunger in the kids, a hunger for God. And the way he should go, that means literally in keeping with his natural bent, who God made that child to be. We're not an army of clones, are we? We're not the Star Wars clones all marching like we're each. We're to train them. That means we have to know those children, don't we? How can you train a child in the way he should go if you don't know which way he's going? So we get to know our kids. And when he's old, that means when he's got hair on his chin. Now, that's like, okay, all those boys, they get those first little hairs, and they're so proud of those, aren't they? They're just very proud. Well, that's usually about the time that kids really, really start dropping out of church, isn't it? Yeah. So he said, even when they get to that point, if they're getting the hair on their chin, or hitting that stage in their life, they're not going to leave. And will not depart. It doesn't say he's not going to do. It does say he'll depart and come back. We have the prodigal son. We have that. So even if they do, they will come back. But if they have an encounter, if they know God, if we've imparted them and they know who they are, and they're filtering everything through that lens of God's love and knowing who they are, they're going to be a lot less departing. Don't you think? I'm excited about that. I went over this a little bit in the first class. Some of the statistics that just really took me by surprise. By the age of 3, a child's developed their own personality. And I've got a 2-year-old, and he didn't have to wait to 3 to get his personality, and it's exactly like his father. So it's kind of like this. My son's going, and I go, acorn, right off that tree, right there. That's you, son. That's exactly the way you were. By 5, their brain is the same as ours, only, like I shared earlier, they still have more brain cells than we do, more active brain cells, so that's why we have to always try to keep a couple steps ahead of those 5-year-olds, because they have more brain cells than we do, active ones. By age 5, they've learned 85% of everything they'll learn in their entire lives. Now that seems like, wait a minute, it's talking about the basics. They've learned the ABCs, the colors, shapes, their cognitive skills, they're beginning to learn to read, manual dexterity, and after that it's just adding on and expanding out those basics. By age 5, this is the one that really got me, the foundation of their belief system is established. What they believe about themselves, their family, and their world. That really, I thought, wow, by the age of 5? I was thinking maybe junior high. By the age of 5, that's pretty amazing. So I want them to know who they are by the time they're age 5. That they're a child of God. They're highly favored. They're deeply loved. They're special. They're wonderfully made. They're the apple of God's eye. God's got great and wonderful plans for them. I want them to know that, so that that's what they're filtering their concepts through. By age 7, they're a miniature version of what they will become as an adult. I'm looking at my 9-year-old grandson, and I look at him, and I go, oh, wow. This kid is just amazing. Love my kids. So this class, you can just deal with it. I'm going to be talking about my grandkids. They're just the best. But it's kind of nice because I have a 2-year-old grandson, 3-year-old, 2 5s, and a 9, and then a baby on the way. And so it's very much involved in my life. In fact, 2 of them are living with us at this point. One will join us in the summer. So it's a pretty active home. The parents live with us too, so just let you know. It's not, we don't have just the kids. I don't think I could do that anymore without the parents there. By age 9, their moral anchor is in place. Wow. Their fundamental perspective on truth, integrity, justice, I won't say in the American way, but morality and ethics are formed by this time in their lives, by the time that they're 9. It's pretty amazing. I was just like looking at this going, really? This is amazing. After 10, most people simply refine their views without much change in their opinions. Wow, I'm so glad for God that He can come in, and even though this is what these statistics are coming out of the world, that we've got a God that can override all the statistics.
Yes,
because I know that He's overridden them in my life. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to feel discouraged, but just know the opportunity that we have to set kids on the right path for the rest of their life. They don't have to overcome the stuff that we have to. That's my goal. I don't want kids to have to overcome the stuff that I had to. And I had wonderful parents. I had a wonderful life as a child. I'm not complaining about, but there were just some things that I didn't know. And had I known that, I probably wouldn't have done some of the things and made some of the choices that I made in life if I'd had just a better grip on that. Research shows that most cases, a person's spiritual beliefs are formed while they're in their pre-teens. So that's where their you have your basics, but then how we're going to deal with those are formed at that time. And the most important time to be discipling a person is when they are preschool to 9 years of age. And at this time, I usually ask people, I have five things that I say, this is what I want from the ages of and I work a lot with I love working with the 0 to 2. I love that age. I love all of them. I always say whichever age I'm working with is my favorite age. So if I'm in the nursery, that's my favorite age. I'm in with the 3s, that's my favorite age. But how much we just pour into even the little ones by praying over them, blessing, speaking truth into their little spirits, because they're receiving. Why do we think it's okay that they're going to learn all the natural things, but they can't learn the spiritual?
That's right.
I mean, that's a concept that I had, that they're not capable of that. But I think as we speak into our spirit, it's there. They're not born without a spirit. So let's speak into that spirit and speak. Just like we hold them and feed them food, and let's feed them spiritually, even if it's just praying over them, blessing them, and ministering also. Another great way to help a child to grow is spiritually is to minister to parents as well, which God had to do a real number on me, because I would get more angry at parents than anything, and so God had to work on my heart a little bit to change my attitude. So know what you want your preschoolers to have in their heart by the time that they're age 5. Know those, and we'll do a little exercise in a while where you're going to write down those 5 things. What motivates us? What motivates you to do this? And I just put, whoever receives one in this name, a child like this in my name, receives me. Wow. Every time you're loving on those kids, you're loving on Jesus. I mean, I'm not making this up. This is what God said. And how wonderful that we're just showing and expressing, not only we're expressing God's love to them, but we're loving on Him. So we get to do that. And it says, whoever, that's you. Hi, whoever. Say, I'm a whoever. Say, I'm a whoever.
I'm a whoever.
I'm a whoever.
Whoever.
That's me. Receives. That means just welcomes, loves, acknowledges, takes in. Receive means just, here, I'm receiving you. I'm not rejecting you. I'm not turning you away. I'm not judging you. I'm receiving you. Isn't that what God did for us? Because, man, if He didn't do it this way, if He didn't just receive us as we were, would any of us be received? No, we've got to receive the kids the same way. A child like this, a child that needs love, needs blessing, needs instruction, and needs security. Everyone's important to God. And I have a whole other thing that I could go off on. I have a teaching that the nursery is a place of love and safety. That's the most important thing to a child or babies. They have to know that they're loved and feel safe. Can't receive if we don't feel loved and safe. If you came to church every week and your pastor was like condemning you and you wouldn't want to come, would you? If you didn't know what was going to happen, or what if every Sunday you had somebody different in the pulpit? Would that feel comfortable? So it's the same thing with a child. They need to feel that. So I won't go off there because it's another whole thing. In my name, Jesus, Savior, friend of God, Son of God, receives me. So as I said before, as we receive those little ones, it's like I'm bringing this child, I'm receiving Jesus into my heart, into my life, into the situation. And it's a win-win-win. Jesus wins, we win, the child wins. I think that's pretty amazing. And again, how we see children affects the way we teach. And again, ask God to give you His eyes. Just looking at those kids, what is His eyes for them? And Mike talks about, there's a lot, teaching versus impartation. Teaching is, I can sit up here and teach and give you all the head knowledge. But imparting is taking it from here and putting it into here. And so that's what we need to be able to do, is just take it from what we're teaching the kids and bring it into here. And we'll do some things in a minute to do that. So it's, again, teaching versus impartation, knowledge versus the heart. We have too much, we just teach knowledge, we wind up with the kids who know all about David and Goliath, they know all about Jesus. I know that you're describing a squirrel, but the answer is Jesus. You ask a kid, who made the pizza today? God made the, we made the pizza. Their answer to everything is God, because that's what it is. But it's just a response. We've trained them to kind of respond with an answer. It's just like the answer to everything. So we really want them to know that is the answer, but it's just not an answer from here, but it's an answer from their heart. And how do we do it? How do we teach? That's always it. How do I teach preschoolers? They can be pretty intimidating, because they can be pretty busy, they can be pretty noisy, they can cry. You're sitting there trying to give them a really great lesson that you planned, and they just get up and wander off and don't even care. What? That's kind of rude, isn't it? You don't know how long I slaved over this and had all this ready, and you're just going to get up and walk off because you want to go play with the truck. I mean, you can't work with preschoolers and be easily offended, or you're going to get cured of that really quick. So how do we teach? We do like Jesus did. He brought them to Him, touched them, brought them in His arms, blessed them, loved on them. They were in the presence of Jesus, and they knew it. And I don't know if He gave them a sermon on, here are the 3 steps to whatever. I think He just loved on them, blessed them. And I just like to choose to believe that God was just looking at them going, I made you. Do you know I knew you before the world was formed? Do you know how wonderful and special you are? Wow, thank you. I'm so glad that you came up. Don't pay attention to those guys that said no. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm glad you're here with me. Can I give you a hug? All right, yeah. I think that's the simplicity of that's what Jesus did. And blessings, giving a blessing is an attribute of God. God is a blesser. I like this. He always, and then it says to choose blessings or cursing. I like God. He always gives us these choices. He's so good. He always gives us the right answer with it too. Have you ever noticed that? You can choose cursing or you can choose blessing, but hey, choose the blessings, okay? I love it. Isn't that great? He gives us a choice, and then He helps us with the answer. And I think it's the same thing with what we would do with the kids. We can give them a choice, but then let's kind of help them with hey, you can obey or disobey, but you know what? Obeying's better. It's going to bring much better stuff. I would go with obeying, wouldn't you? I have a really fun on Jonah and the whale. Bless that we do. Okay, and then we're heading on to the next page. How do we prepare? Oh, important. How do we do that? We spend time with God and His Word. Now, I love this. John 5:19. Most assuredly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son does also in like manner. Uh-oh. I had to work on this one. I'd pick up the book, I'd pick up my lesson plan, and I would kind of look at it, and I'd sit down, and I would maybe get, okay, if I needed the props, I would do that. We're going to teach about David and Goliath. I knew that story inside out. Okay. So I started doing something different, because I was getting bored. I was getting so bored. I thought, man, one more David and Goliath story, I'm just going to scream. I'm just so tired of it. Okay, here's Samuel. He laid down 3 times, and I was just like, there's got to be more. I was tired of it. And if I'm like that tired of it, how well is that going to go with the kids? They're very sensitive. They'll pick up on this. So one day we had a lady and her son. They were living in our home. And I'd sit down to read something. And I was reading, and I'm going, oh, great. It's Samuel. No, it's not. I don't want to do Samuel. But I got my Bible out, and I decided I'm going to read it. So I sat down, and I started reading. And I got so blown away. The lady that lived with us, Melissa, she was out, and she came back in the house. I'd go, you have to come over here. You have to listen to this. Let me read this to you. Do you know, God had just so totally revealed to me stuff that happened in Samuel. Mike comes in, and we're like, Melissa and I are just like, have you read Samuel recently? Did you know that this is what God said? I got so excited because I was teaching from memory, from what I had always taught, and I was bored. I went back and read it, and God gave me new revelations. I'm going, did you know that it said that 4th time that it was God's manifest presence? God showed up in person. Do you realize? I'm going, how did I miss this? I've taught this for how many years? How did I miss that? How did I miss the obvious? It's because I was just taking my lesson plan, reading what they had written in it for me, and teaching it. I didn't let that word get into my heart first. I didn't let God capture me with it. So now I've been going through this thing. I've been going back through like, okay, David and Goliath. Goliath. Boom, boom, Goliath. I'm going to read David. I started reading about Daniel. Started reading about what it was. Do you know that why Daniel and his friends were they were given different names, correct? They were given the names of these pagan gods. And the people around them call them, but do you know that the whole time they still called each other by their true names? They didn't forget their identity with one another. They knew who they were. They spoke that. Like it would be like, let's say that you came in here and for the conference we gave you the new name of Sharon. Or is that your real name? Wouldn't that be funny if that was?
No, Gwen is funny.
And you're like, but I'm not Sharon. Yeah. And people kept calling you Sharon. You're going, but I'm not Sharon. But your friend comes in and calls you by what's your name?
Gwen.
Gwen comes in and says, "Hey, Gwen." You're going, yes, somebody knows who I am. Isn't that? Yeah. And that's why it's important to learn those children's names and call them by their name. I am not good with names. I love that they put name tags on children. After a few weeks, I usually can get children's names, but it takes me a while to get there. I'll just be honest with you. Like I said, a few weeks ago we were at a conference, and I introduced my husband. I said, "This is my husband, Mark." Yes, so God keeps me humble. No, I don't even think that was God. That was just me keeping myself humble.